Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this brand new webinar in SmartAgriHubs, representing Work Package 4 on Digital Innovation Hub Capacity Building. My name is Frank Berkers. Today we will discuss the Digital Innovation Hub Exchange Program, a program that we are currently setting up to work with the Digital Innovation Hubs to create a learning experience and exchange experience between different digital innovation hubs. Today we have a webinar including my colleague Caroline van der Weert, also visible on screen, and George Beers, the coordinator of the SmartAgriHubs project. The agenda for the program today. First, we will give a brief introduction into why we are actually setting up a program. Then we go into the details of the program and illustrate some first steps. Of course, there is room for question and answers, primarily at the end of this webinar. So, first, I'd like to direct a question to George. George, what do you think is the importance of the community in SmartAgriHubs, and specifically also the growth and capacities of digital innovation hubs?
Okay, thanks, Frank. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I can give a short answer, but I prefer to do the long answer. SmartAgriHubs is now for a little bit more than 2 years on the road, and for me there are a couple of learnings. There is an echo in my maybe. Yeah, I think that's yeah. So there are a couple of learnings that I want to share with you. First learning is about the role of the Digital Innovation Hub. What can they do? What are we expecting them to do? And what I learned from looking at the operations that most of the hubs are now performing is what they are already doing: stimulating, initiating, organizing hackathons to collect ideas and bringing them into projects that can be executed to drive the innovation. What I learned about this is that the most, let's say, successful digital innovation hubs are the proactive ones. Proactivity is one of the core things for functioning in a digital innovation hub. What I see is that I mean the total agri community, we are sort of used that we can wait for calls coming and then we we apply for them. But what we need to do now, and what I see the hubs doing, the successful hubs doing, is that don't wait for the call, go and go for the call. There are calls every day, everywhere, and you have to proactively look for them. So I think that's one of the things that I learned. I'll come back to this later on. The second point I want to mention as one of my learning points is the importance of digital innovation hubs. At least the importance that the European Commission is putting onto this. But I also see now there's a big program going on, the DIH, in which the Commission also stimulates the member states to adopt the concept of digital innovation hubs. And what I noticed is that a lot of funding agencies, whether they are public, like the Commission or the member states, or regional, but also private funding agencies are actively looking for digital innovation hubs. And what are they looking for? They are looking for, let's say, domain-specific support to get high-quality innovation, not just new projects, but high-quality new projects that build upon other projects, previous projects, that are built on existing knowledge. And I think that's one of the things that we need to realize. you can say that that we need to anticipate that funding agencies will use the digital innovation hubs as their eyes and ears, and maybe there's some signals that they will also be a controlling mechanism to ensure the high quality of digital innovation. I think that's one of the things that we need to see, and it's not only on the rocket science in the low TRLs, but there's an important cluster of funding agencies that want to have support in the high TRLs. So really bringing startups and new innovations to the market. And I think that's what the community, as we are, as the SmartAgriHubs community, we are familiar with dissemination. We are familiar with extension services, with testing farms, with training, etc. So that's a thing that we need to address, and I think we need to be aware in this that someone called it, what's going on is a reorganization of the innovation landscape. So it's not just putting a tender and wait what's going to happen, but it's asking the Digital Innovation Hub to generate good and high quality innovation ideas. So the third point I learned is that we need to explore a little bit better what are the needs of digital innovation hubs to come into that position. And as I see it, SmartAgriHubs, the project is a journey to explore what digital innovation hubs need. Of course, for sure, digital innovation hubs need a wide variety of competences on technology, business, ecosystem management, ethics, you name it. So they need a wide variety of competences. On the other hand, I'm also observing that digital innovation hubs are embedded in organizations that do have those competences. They are embedded in either consultancy companies, extension services, research organizations. So basically, what I want to believe is that all competences are in the network. They are there. They are there. And since we are, let's say, a network, the SmartAgriHubs is developing a network, and a network that is fostering open innovation, so sharing for multiplying the knowledge and the competences. That's the paradigm that we are working on. So that's, I think, why I'm very keen and very, for me, the initiative that we are discussing today is very, very important for me to share knowledge between the digital innovation hubs. The knowledge is there, we just need to share it better. That's why I think that the peer learning, as we are discussing on, will be a key mechanism to make SmartAgriHubs successful. I truly hope that you share some of my learning points, and that you will contribute in making the peer learning work. And I want to thank you and wish you a very, very nice afternoon. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much, George. I find your talk quite insightful and inspirational. So let's take it from here. Thank you. I'd like to invite you now to go to menti.com. I am sure you have been using this tool for a bit now. If you can, take a browser and go to the address menti.com and use the code 8067808. And I can switch my screen. And the question there I have for you as a warm-up is, when did you have your last exchange with another digital innovation hub? And I'm waiting a little bit for answers to drop in. Aha, so there's one encounter being last week, somewhere this year, so there is interaction. That's very good, very good. All right. I'll wait for a little bit more. Some of us haven't been in touch so far, or quite long ago. There was contact last year. All right. So we see really a distribution coming up from Digital Innovation Hubs, having, say, regular encounters, or at least recent encounters, and some of us having been in touch quite long ago or can't remember, etc. So I think this was a nice startup. Thank you for your contributions. I think it's important to stress that we worked with Digital Innovation Hubs, and we really get the message. Okay, we want to learn from other hubs, and therefore exchange is key. Caroline, can you explain us why we're doing this program in a little bit more detail?
Yes, thank you, Frank. I will do so. I hope everyone can hear me well. Good afternoon, everyone. And yeah, the last question, the Menti question, was actually already a nice insight into why we're going to do this. You see very varying degrees of peer impact. That is precisely what we want to facilitate with this program. When we started SmartAgriHubs, George already mentioned, we're well underway. But when we started the project, of course, we did this massive study also amongst hubs, what needs they have regarding their own development. Time has passed since then, and we're currently in the process of interviewing many hubs to ask them where they are and what they need. And added to that, of course, we get input ourselves through the regional clusters, sometimes from hubs that we're closely working with. As Work Package 4 is responsible for that growth and capacity building of the hubs, we thought this was now a good time to take the next step to answer those needs of hubs. And we thought, well, with all the input that we got, we thought, okay, so it shouldn't be like a school system with only teaching or only informing. The key is the peer exchange. So we're going to facilitate a program that makes sure that you're able to do that exchange with each other, sharing on, for instance, how do you build your community, but also are you using AI in certain conditions, and how does that work for you, but also simple practical things such as tooling. We are sure that hubs can, for all those topics, learn from each other. Of course, it's also meant to improve the services, the hub services that we're all familiar with, as to have a more sustainable profile towards the market and a broad profile. If you're, for instance, now really strong at technology testing, can we help you in building your capacity of also addressing new markets, for instance? And that links to professionalizing the business plan and being a sustainable hub even after the project has ended. The next slide, please, Frank. The program that Frank will explain in more detail next is meant to really activate the hubs. Like I said, we're going to move away from the purely the informing, which we've of course also done in the past time through our webinars, which have been visited, populated really well by you, by the hubs. But now we want to take the next step in own activation to exchange as peers. And through that mechanism, learn and grow and improve on the capacities that you want to improve on. This program is also meant to be copied because we will not reach every hub in first instance. So that's what we're building right now. And also a program that simply just has an energy that spreads easily. We want everyone to have fun doing this and really that it's useful doing this. And ideally hubs telling each other, hey, have you already joined the social learning program? And yeah, that is our ambition here. So I can imagine now everyone's thinking, what's the program? So Frank, you can take it over.
Thank you, Caroline, for giving this inspirational message on why we're doing this. So the program. Before discussing the program, I have to announce that in a bit we will show a little bit of the portal or the platform that we will be using and the content that you can expect in there, a little bit of the look and feel. But first, the program. Okay, so today is the introductory webinar in which we kind of say launch the approach. In the upcoming weeks, we will distribute a little bit more information, open the registration, really campaigning for your participation in this learning experience. And then somewhere March 1, the platform for learning will be opened. I think, sorry, registration is open from March and platform will be open from April. April 15, we start off with an open maturity assessment day. This day is open for digital innovation hubs who want to participate for doing a maturity assessment. We will start off the day jointly by explaining how it works and how you can do it. And then in between, we will be available with a hotline for you to support you go through that. Because we think maturity self-assessment is the ideal tool for a little bit of self-reflection, understanding your strength, understanding your learning objectives, and that is something we take on to the next week, the week after, 19th and 20th April. We will organize small groups of digital innovation hubs, like 4 to 5 digital innovation hubs getting together, explaining their profile, explaining their learning objectives and best practices to each other, do Q&A, start the exchange already. But this is primarily focused on getting to know each other and accumulating the learning objectives and best practices from the whole community. And this is what we take forward in creating new group compositions, identifying the topics on which we will further elaborate and prepare, say, training and online modules. That will be in the period after. And then in early May, we will start open up the online platform with new content. We get together early May to create a joint starting point, and then there will be a core period of this online social learning. I will explain in a minute. So there's a number of weeks in which we can go through different modules. And then somewhere June, July, we will have a feedback session to understand what works in practice, share also among yourselves how you experience the online social learning. And that will close off the first wave, and then we'll look into the follow-up wave. So this is the plan that we have in mind. And now I will show you a little bit information on the platform that we use. There is a good video that I'd like to share you doing that. Let me see. All right.
Welcome to your Curator homepage. When you first land in Curator, you'll see a list of courses that you've been enrolled. Clicking on one of these will take you into a course experience. Here, you'll be presented with content that you can work through in what we call levels. In my example here, levels are organised into different weeks, so week 1, getting started. I can click on any of the levels that are available to me. Some might be locked until I've made more progress or time has elapsed. And within each level, I'll see a range of content that I can interact with and use. You can click on the content in any order. It will launch a new window and show you the content for you to interact with. In this example, we see a video on the left and a conversation on the right. You can watch the video and then take part in the discussion regarding the video on the right-hand side. You can reply to your peers and you can vote people up and down. Curator works on gamified principles, so the more content you consume, the more comments you leave, the more points you earn. When you've earned enough points, you may trigger what we call an end-of-level gate. This is the end-of-level test that you need to pass in order to unlock new content and move on to the next level. In this case, we see a discussion question, something that you can answer with free text. Complete your submission, and after you've pressed the submit button, you will have completed the level. You can now level up and move on to new content. That's Curator.
All right, let me see. Yes, so I couldn't have explained it much better than this video. I hope this set of features inspires you. I think it's really nice. I have been talking to a lot of people who are using this platform for community learning and exchange, and most of them are really enthusiastic. And of course, in the coming weeks, we will have to detail the exact implementation of this system. To give you an idea of what the content could look like, we set up a screenshot, made up a screenshot, starting with the cafe had the introduction, where you can introduce yourself as a participant, where it will be explained how the platform works, and also the introduction in the maturity assessment. So these will all be in the same pattern, in which you can say enter and consume little bits of the content in a piecewise manner. So it doesn't take you full days at once to consume this material, but in little bits and pieces. And this is why it works so well. Huh? You don't have to do it all simultaneously, but there is this social effect. This is what it looks like. If you look closely, you might see a lot of topics that we have been addressing in the webinars over the past year. So we will, of course, reuse this material and expand it with your experiences, huh? and moderate around these discussions. And what I think is also very important is that there is room for creating new topics, for creating your priority topics. So that is really important to add to the relevance and also solve your immediate day-to-day problems together. So it will not only be us who will be sharing content, it's also you be sharing content with little interviews or little reports that you might find interesting. And this is the place to do it and together learn the implications of that. Good. I have another Menti for you coming up. Let's do this. Yes. So, if you can take the time and provide us with some topics you would consider to be very valuable in such a training and a learning program. Business models, community expanding. Okay. The business models grows because multiple people have entered that. Have a look at the time. Ecosystem mapping. Okay. Pricing. Oh, that's interesting. Services. Very interesting. Yes. I believe that on some of these topics that there is some material which we can of course reworked to be on this platform, but there's also new stuff. I don't believe we have already shared a lot of discussions on pricing of services. Funding mechanisms, indeed, this was already being discussed in the last weeks, that we need something about that. I see IPR, yes, that is really intellectual property rights, huh? Really an important thing to work on. Consortium agreements, what we see here, positioning of the Digital Innovation Hub in the ecosystem. Oh, really a lot of topics. I think we can safely conclude that there will be work for us, for the community, to share upon, because with most of these topics, some of you may already have been dealing with. Actually, I know that most of you have been dealing with it in one way or another. So this is really important to share among the community and make a stronger network of digital innovation hubs. Okay, so I'll keep this open for a little bit, but move on in the presentation. At least so far, thank you very much for the contributions here. Good. This screen we have already been seeing. This was just to show you, hey, you can create videos and share content. It is quite easy to do so in this platform. Good. Yes, clearly this whole exercise, Digital Innovation Hub Exchange, is not just about the platform. Huh? It's the whole exchange program in which we work together that makes it work. And from a Digital Innovation Hub, there is of course also some kind of contribution to be made. It starts with registering for the program. That's the first step, and then we ask you to do a maturity assessment, either in this maturity assessment day or in advance in your own rhythm, if you like, because we think that that's a very important starting point for triggering the learning objectives. Participation in this friendly peer review or intervision day, and then it starts in the online participation in discussing and making these little assignments on this portal, and then coming together again and discussing how it works in practice. So that say is the basic level of contribution, and it gets even better if you start contributing items, brief videos or reports, or just statements that you'd like to discuss. Contribute to the moderation of the discussions, and in a very desirable way, also setting up new modules and organizing content. So you as community participants are in charge of what you can learn here, and there's a lot to be shared. I think we just saw that in the overview of topics. Really start sharing, creating these modules. I think this is really the advanced level of participation in this social learning. Good. I think that's yeah, what you should be prepared in doing. Caroline, what are the first steps we will be looking at?
Yes, Frank. So indeed, there's also things that you could already start with now. For instance, consider if you would want to be one of the first hubs joining in this program. Registration will open in a little more over more than a month, and we want to start. We're aiming for 60 digital innovation hubs who are entering the program for the first time. Yeah, I think that would be rather cool to be part of that first wave. So please consider if you have the time, and then make your agenda free also for the timing in April. I will show you that again later, but yeah, become one of our first 60. Also, you could already do the maturity assessment and see how that feels for you, interesting things that are coming out. That's something that you can already do as a hub, as it is available on the portal. Also, what you can already do is, if you have experience on social learning or tips for us, please feel free to reach out. We're also just getting to know this and getting to know how to program this. So if you'd like to think along on that, very welcome. And of course, all the topics that you mentioned already yourself, maybe you've seen a topic already mentioned in the Menti question that you think, hey, that's not too hard for me, because we have a lot of experience on that. Maybe you can archive already stuff that you have, whether it is an interesting article or a video, because at some point we will be asking you to give those contributions on the platform. So you can already start keeping in mind that this is coming and filing somewhere interesting material for exchange. So yeah, that's things that we can already do now. And I believe, Frank, you have a last Menti question prepared.
Caroline, you were muted for a second.
So I did prepare a last Mentimeter question, and the question is, how excited are you to participate in the Digital Innovation Hub Exchange program? Starting, yeah, it's kind of all right, to, can we start tomorrow? So may I have your votes, please? Okay, I'm really happy to see some enthusiasm in the audience. So yeah, I think this really confirms how we feel about this. This will be really a joint journey making this work. But with this level of energy, I think we're in a good place. So thank you. I'm really happy with this.
Yes, great to see. Great to see. And indeed, this is the final slide on our content before we, of course, open for questions. These are the dates that you have already seen. We will add a sort of comeback day for the first group of 60 hubs in July. But please keep those dates in mind, and we invite you to become part of the first group. Thanks.
Thank you all. I'll leave this slide open for for having this sharpen your view that we need to do is good. Time for Q&A, I guess. You can unmute if you want, or raise your hand. Is that actually possible? I don't know. We see one question at least in the chat. From Jos, can digital innovation hubs that are not connected in SmartAgriHubs also join this facility? Yeah, actually, I hadn't really thought about this. It's a good question, Jos, but I would strongly encourage digital innovation hubs who are interested to also register with SmartAgriHubs, of course. So let's say that this is the target audience, and this is focused on SmartAgriHubs, smart agri digital innovation hubs. So the discussions in this community will revolve from that perspective. I know there are a lot of topics that are, say, quite generic and of interest to say other digital innovation hub communities, but we should be aware that this is the context of the digital innovation hubs. So let's say that digital innovation hubs need to register with SmartAgriHubs. That makes sense.
Okay, Frank, thank you. This is Jos.
Hi.
Hi. My question was specifically for the agri-food community, since agri-food is also pretty much connected as a digital innovation hub network to the agro community. And that's why I think probably a lot of our digital innovation hubs could be interested to join this facility.
Okay, thank you, Jos. That really makes a lot of sense, and I kind of suspected where this question was coming from. Yeah, I would strongly encourage also these digital innovation hubs to say first register with SmartAgriHubs to be part of this wider community, and then participate. That would really be of mutual value. Let's say. Yeah.
Maybe if I could quickly also jump in here, Frank. Jos, also a part of this PeerExchange is built on a maturity assessment. Therefore, if the digital innovation hubs that you have in mind, of course, they can follow the webinars as they record it and so on. But also, if they want to use this tool, they can find it in the SmartAgriHubs portal. And that's also a basis for the exchange. And I think it would be very useful then to give each other feedback based on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jos, for your question. Another question from Lucas, where can we find the registration? I think this exemplifies the right level of enthusiasm that we're looking for. Thank you, Lucas. But we haven't prepared the registration yet. So from March onwards, this should be feasible to do so. So we're working on that. Thank you. Avi asks, will there be a separate link to the curator, or we join in through the innovation portal? To be honest, I haven't fully looked into integration of this learning platform in our innovation portal. What I understood from what I learned is that, say, integration or API and coordination would take at least quite some time, and also expenses to fully integrate it. So it's challenging. I'm looking into it because that would definitely be the preferred option, but it also has to be feasible in one way or another. I think I think the most likely option is that we provide a link from the portal towards this other portal, but you would probably need your own new set of credentials there. Then the question,
thank you, Frank.
Good, Avi. Then Dieter asks, which criteria bring the smaller groups of digital innovation hubs in the process together? Okay, there are basically two type of groups. I'm trying to move to the sorry overview slide here to point that out. In the intervention groups, discussing the self-assessment, I think the preferred option is to say stay within your original cluster on similar levels of maturity, so more alike digital innovation hubs, to discuss that. I'm open for your suggestions here, but that was my initial thought. To do that in a, say, more geographically close manner and maturity manner. And then the, say, grouping in this online learning will be based on topical interest. And so you identify your learning objectives, and then you will select, say, what number of these modules that we prepare, because not all modules are equally interesting for all participants. So you would be working with a subgroup on, let's say, ecosystem mapping. Let's take that as an example. let's say only 60% of the participants have an interest in that, and the other 40% are quite mature on that, so they don't want and need to go through that content. So that will be a content-based grouping or topical-based grouping. So my call to you is, if you have other preferences of this grouping, specifically for the intervision or peer reviewing, then of course please come forward. Might discuss it now. Okay. Is there any more questions or comments to be made about the Digital Innovation Hub Exchange program as we today presented it? Have a look at the chat. No news there. So I think that concludes the session for today. Thank you very much for participating. Look forward to your responses to the registration. We will be working very hard to make this online working, and see you soon in the next encounters. Thank you all. Bye-bye.